Female Inspired Agriculture University Rawalpindi, and he is going to present whenever storage operations mitigate the nutrient losses and their products can sustain soil fertility as well as enhance wheat productivity. Over to you, Dr.
Thank you very much, sir. As I already told, the topic of my presentation is about manure storage through various storage techniques and after the storage its application to the wheat crop. In Pakistan, 196.5 million heads of livestock were counted in the year 2018, and they produced 16.72 million tons of dung in 2018. Each year it was like 652 million kilograms of manure every day was produced. Traditionally in Pakistan, manure is either stockpiled on an open field which is prone to the rainfall and leaching losses, volatilization and denitrification losses, or dung cakes are made from the manure which are burnt for the fuel purpose. Manure can be used as a valuable source of fertilizer for the crop. This is the way like the manure is stored as an open stockpiled heaps. Dung cakes are made which are burned as a fuel. So improper storage techniques, they cause decrease in the fertilizer value of farmyard manure, and after when storage, the stockpiling, the traditional storage, when we apply the manure, it doesn't have or have very less amount of nitrogen, only the carbon remains in this manure. So we can replace, if properly stored, we can replace this chemical fertilizer by this farmyard manure up to 70%. So there is a need that we develop proper manure storage techniques to increase its fertilizer value. Therefore, the objectives of our research was to measure carbon and nitrogen losses after storage of the manure and to evaluate effects of storage operations on soil microbial biomass, carbon and nitrogen, and after storage to apply this manure on wheat crop and to measure grain yield and soil physiochemical properties. These were actually the four methods through which manure was stored. One is the traditional as a check, in which the manure is only stockpiled, haven't disturbed during the storage period. Then is manure is monthly turned to create aerobic conditions inside the manure heap. Another method was that we totally covered the manure and to create the anaerobic fermentation. And the other method was that we created a roof above the stockpiled manure to reduce leaching losses from this types of the manure. So these four types of the storage techniques were adopted during the study. The manure was stored for 173 days and soil manure samples was taken at the start and end of the storage period of 173 days. Leaching losses was also measured by collection of the leachate through each heap. The storage of the manure was done into three replications, so in total there was 12 heap. The carbon and nitrogen losses was measured through mass balance method. After the storage period of 173 days, these stored manure along with fresh manure was applied to wheat crop. Then control was kept to check the plot size for the wheat crop was 6 by 6 square meter, 3 replication, and design used by RCBD. Cultivar Pakistan 2013 was shown. Soil sampling was taken at the start of the experiment, and after the harvesting of the wheat crop, plant growth and yield parameter was also measured. These are the composition of the manure before the storage and after the storage of the period of 173 days. You can see that in leaching, nitrogen losses are lowest from the fermented manure compared to the others. These are the losses which were measured through mass balance methods, carbon, nitrogen, and the dry matter losses during the storage period of 173 days. During storage, 8, 24, 45, and 56% of the initial total N was lost from covered manure, roofed manure, stockpiled manure, and turned manure. The carbon losses was 16, 34, 47, and 44%. There was no difference in carbon and nitrogen losses from stockpiled and turned manure. However, covering the manure heap with plastic sheets significantly reduced both carbon and nitrogen losses, and which was only 16 and 8% respectively. After the storage, the manure was applied to the wheat crop, and after the harvesting of the wheat crop, soil was analyzed for microbial biomass, carbon and nitrogen. And you can see microbial biomass, carbon and nitrogen was 35 and 25% lower in covered manure than fresh manure, which shows that it has more mineralization and compared to the fresh manure, and fresh manure has more immobilization process, which reduce the availability of nitrogen to the plants. Represented in this yield tables, that fermented manure, the manure which was covered with the plastic sheets, has highest grain yield, and also biological yield was also higher compared to the unturned manure, which has the lowest grain and the biological yield among all the storage methods. This is the nitrogen uptake and apparent nitrogen recovery from the manure applied. Wheat crop recovered 44, 15, and 13% of the total nitrogen from controlled manure, turned manure, and stockpiled manure, respectively. If we go to the conclusions, covering the manure heap produces fermented manure, which is anaerobically fermentation of the manure during storage, which reduces 66 and 82% of carbon and nitrogen losses compared to the traditional storage of the manure, which is like open dumping of the manure on the field, which is subjected to the rainfall, and there are a lot of leaching losses from it. Higher soil microbial biomass, carbon and nitrogen in fresh manure treatment was observed, which shows that they have more immobilization compared to the covered manure, which has more mineralization. After field application of the crop, fermented manure has more nitrogen and the phosphorus uptake, and also the grain yield and biological yield compared to the other types of the manure. It is concluded that only covering the manure heap with plastic sheets can reduce carbon and nitrogen losses, conserve mineral nitrogen into the manure, which is consequently uptaken by the crop, causing increase in the yield of the wheat crop in this experiment. This research has been published in Journal of Environmental Management. This is one of the experiments done by MPhil student Basit Ali. Questions if there are.